Friends, first of all, I would like to start off with dedicating this event to my mom, Karen Kraft. She's been my inspiration since day one, and without her, I wouldn't be here today. So happy early Mother's Day, Mom, and to everyone in the crowd today who is a mother. Some of you may know me as Aly Raposo, mental health advocate, scholar, feminist, advisor, organizer, and any of these descriptions are true to me. If you were to ask any of my friends or family a description of me, they'll probably basically describe me in the same way. I myself would give a similar description, as this is an accurate portrayal of me. I am all of these things, but I am so much more than these things. Although not visible to the human eye, I suffer with mental illness. Some days it is almost as though I live two completely separate lives. These two separate sides include the extroverted side that most people see, and the side which I used to hide to struggle from a daily basis. I recognized recently that I have begun to combine my inner and outer personalities, and I'm speaking out about who I really am. Why not let my mental health and my inspiration be an inspiration for how I live? I strive to help people understand that mental illness isn't always apparent on the outside, that you never know how people feel on the inside. I want to dedicate my life to smashing the harmful stigmas surrounding mental illness by helping people and communities bring awareness to such an unspoken topic. Anyone who has or is still suffering with mental illness may understand that from the outside looking in, it's hard to understand, and from the outside looking out, it's even harder to explain. Let me explain to you a little bit about my journey. So, the onset of my illness was insidious, but even today, I vividly remember this painful episode in my life. I completed high school with great success, and I began my first semester of university. Everything seemed set. I was about to begin my journey towards a bachelor degree at the University of Manitoba. It seemed as if my hard work had paid off and they were finally put into motion. However, 6 weeks into my first semester, I was in trouble. I was repeatedly unable to sit through a lecture as I would suddenly have shortness of breath and chest pressure. This would lead to coughing, to catch my breath, and eventually hyperventilating. I would leave the class quietly and pace the halls, trying to calm myself down, and sometimes this would work, and I could carry on as usual, and sometimes cause me the inability to successive shaking, itchiness, and nausea that could cause me to leave school prematurely and miss classes. Some days I noticed each time I left the house, I would begin to sweat all over, feel nauseous, and start to panic. As these attacks increased, I shut myself in my house, which I call my fortress. When they became worse, I shut myself in my bedroom, my cocoon, with the curtains drawn and the door shut, completely isolating myself. I would try to escape from the situation, avoiding going out, seek the comfort of my bedroom, turn on the lights, and sometimes just scream. Despite the demoralizing effects that these symptoms had on me, I resolved to overcome this hurdle. It was a very frustrating struggle because no matter how hard I tried, I could not improve. I remained anxious, uncomfortable in my own body, panicked, and attending classes very sporadically. It seemed as if my mind was paralyzed and I was condemned to play the role of the worst student in the university. Slowly, I began to wonder if I had contracted some sort of physical illness. Eventually, I decided it was necessary to schedule a medical workup to rule out any disease that could possibly be causing me these symptoms. I desperately almost hoped that I would have been vindicated with the diagnosis of some sort of physical ailment. Instead, I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, with panic attacks. Not surprising, the diagnosis did not come as much of a relief. My condition proved to be a very isolating experience, and the isolation only intensified with the symptoms and its accompanying shame and loneliness that I had felt. I knew that many people, even those in the healthcare profession, regarded depression as a character flaw rather than a true illness. Depression and anxiety would not excuse me for my dismal performance as a student in the same way, for example, a brain tumor would. Depression would not relieve me of the guilt about having failed an exam due to missed classes in the same way a diagnosis of a chronic disease would. Most importantly, I felt that I could not talk to my peers about the pain of depression and anxiety as if I could if I suffered with headaches or a stomach ulcer. While all these diagnoses are debilitating, people need to be aware that mental illness is equally as debilitating for some. My point is simple. Mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of, and it should be treated as any other major illness. Always remember that you are not alone. You have lots of company, whether they admit it or not. A mental illness is not a character flaw. It is caused by genetic, biological, and social environmental factors. Seeking and accepting help is a sign of strength. A mental illness is not caused by personal weakness and is not cured by personal strength.
I'm not 100% better, and maybe I never will be, but I am 100% stronger. But one of my favorite quotes from Jack.org is that 1 in 5 have mental illness and 5 in 5 have mental health. It is so important for you to love yourself, flaws and all, because power comes from within. We all need to stop hating ourselves for everything we aren't, and we need to start loving ourselves for everything that we absolutely are. Thank you very much.